The gentleman reserves the balance of his time. The gentleman from California.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
I want to thank my colleague from Massachusetts for his tribute to Army Specialist Jeremiah Paul McCleary and to urge support of H.R. 3319 that names the United States Post Office in Portola in his memory. Maya McCleary grew up in that town, and to that town he returned as a fallen hero at the age of 24. Let me tell you a little more about him. His best friend was his father, Joe. A high school friend, Josh Rogers, was asked when Jeremiah was the happiest. Josh replied he was happiest whenever he was doing anything with his dad. As my friend from Massachusetts said, when Jeremiah was 4 years old, his dad took him out to see the returning American soldiers from the First Gulf War. As Shakespeare said, "This story shall the good man teach his son." It was from that moment in 1991 that Jeremiah wanted more than anything to serve his country. Joe and Colette McCleary moved their family to the little town of Portola in 1996, where they built their home themselves as a family. And it was in Portola where Maya McCleary grew up. If you want a sense of the character of this young man, just spend a few minutes with those who knew him. His older sister, Lynette Flanagan, tells of how Maya would take on much older bullies at school, not in his own defense, but in the defense of others. She said, "He once got sent to the principal's office for getting into a fight. When my mother arrived at school, Jeremiah was not sorry for his actions. He explained with pride that he'd stood up to a bully who'd slapped a little girl. Jeremiah was never afraid to stand up for what he believed in, even if that would get him into trouble. It didn't matter if a bully was twice his size, he wouldn't back down." Jeremiah was a Boy Scout. He joined the Civil Air Patrol. He planned to enlist in the Army as soon as he graduated from Portola High School in 2004. But that year his mother, Colette, was diagnosed with cancer, and he stayed there with his family until she died. And in 2007 he finally enlisted. When his sister, Chastity, begged him not to go, he said that he felt that by going into the military he was protecting his family. By all accounts, he was an exemplary soldier who commanded the friendship and respect of his colleagues. While at Fort Hood, he became close friends with another Californian, Jake Veloza, and they shipped out to Iraq together. Before that, he'd fallen in love with Amanda Harrison while stationed at Fort Hood. Amanda's known as AJ to her friends, but Jeremiah called her the love of his life. They were to have been married on May the 30th. But on May the 2nd, outside of Mosul, Iraq, at combat outpost in Haman Alil, American soldiers were attacked by two gunmen wearing Iraqi police uniforms. Two U.S. soldiers, Jeremiah McCleary and his best friend, Jake Veloza, were killed in that attack, and 3 others were wounded. So on May the 14th, the day before he was supposed to return to a happy homecoming and an impending marriage, Jeremiah McCleary returned to his hometown to be buried beside his mother in Portola. The local paper described his return with these words, which speak volumes about the community which helped to mold this American hero. They reported, "Across the Sierra Valley, people lined the highway, some with their hands over their hearts as a mark of respect. In Portola, streets were lined with flag-waving citizens. Shop owners left their stores to join in, temporarily suspending business as usual." Mr. Speaker, I wanted to share a little of what I've learned about Jeremiah McCleary because it helps to answer the question that James Michener first asked: where do we get such men? Well, we get them from the heart and soul of America. We get them from good and decent families like the McClearys. We get them from little towns like Portola, California. Over the summer, I had the honor to visit the men and women who guard the tomb of the unknown soldier at Arlington National Cemetery. The painstaking care and the meticulous precision with which these young men and women discharge their duties in withering heat and in freezing cold, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, is legendary. Well, I asked them why they did it, and one of them told me, "We do it to tell our country that we will never forget." And for that reason, I bring this bill to the House today with the unanimous support of Portola City Council and the entire California congressional delegation, and the entire community that watched Jeremiah McCleary grow from a boy to a man and ultimately to return as a hero. We ask that the Congress name the local post office in honor of Army Specialist Jeremiah Paul McCleary, to tell our countrymen that we will never forget, and also to express our awe and our gratitude that humanity has within itself a small band of brothers like Jeremiah McCleary who step forward not for treasure or profit or even to defend their own freedom, but rather to win the freedom of a people half a world away. And they do it because their country asks them to, and because it is virtuous and noble. We owe these men and their grieving families a debt that we can never repay, except to honor their memory and to keep their sacrifice always in mind, those who gave up everything to proclaim liberty throughout all the land and unto all the inhabitants thereof. And I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves the balance of his time. The gentleman from Massachusetts.